everybody, what's going on? This is Meeples on the Ground. My name is Nick Traeger, and this is Pick a Bit Discussion. So, on today's Pick a Bit Discussion, we want to start out with thanking everybody that participated in our last giveaway of 7 and 7. It was awesome. It was great to see everyone's interest in the channel and their participation with subscribing and just, ended up growing the channel, which is what I want to do with this. I want to grow the channel, grow its influence, and just be able to spread the joy of gaming to everyone out there that might not know about the hobby and heck might not know about some of the games I cover. So in today's Pick a Bit discussion, I would like to talk about conventions. How many conventions do you go to a year? How many conventions do you even know about? Because when me and my wife first started in the hobby, we just about, only knew of, I think, Gen Con and maybe Origins. But when we first started, we were like, okay, what do we want to go to first? And we're like, well, let's go to Gen Con first. And that was just a mind-blowing experience. We were overwhelmed. Gen Con is a huge, huge convention. At the time, well, it still is, but it was a little actually overwhelming for a first convention, and to the point where I would actually recommend it not being your first convention if you can actually, if that can actually handle it. If you live in Indiana, it's like, all right, well, if I live where that convention is, I might be good to go because it'll be a different experience for you. Now, me and my wife travel a lot to these conventions, and more so my wife now because she has a job within the industry that she has to go and run tournaments and play to wins and help out with other conventions that the company she works for runs. And so she has a lot more experience in this area. Actually, she's at a convention right now, so which is pretty cool. But me, not so much. So again, what is your convention experience? What are the conventions that you like to go to or don't like to go to? What are conventions that you're just like, I just like it being, not so many people, or maybe you love the hundreds and hundreds of people, or maybe you love the conventions where new things get released at. I know when we were at Tantrum Con this year, there was a game being released at that convention, which was really cool and just really awesome. I loved it. It was for this year, because this is the year the channel was starting. We got to go ahead and interview people, which was awesome. I loved interviewing exhibitors. I loved interviewing some winners of championships, and I didn't get to really talk to people there. Still working out all the interviews and all that. But again, I just really enjoy conventions. Conventions are awesome. I just get like a natural high off them. I'm just like, this is so cool. I get to see friends that, don't live in North Carolina. They live in other states. Or, when you see a new game or see something that's just like upgrades. Sometimes you'll find companies with upgrades that only go to conventions. And if you don't know about them and you stumble upon them, they're like, oh, this is really cool. And even deals. My gosh, the deals. And also, there's just a bunch of stuff with conventions. I would love to hear in the comments about your conventions experiences, maybe things you found out about at conventions. Shoot, I'd be really excited to hear what you have to say. Because in the end, we all learn together. And that's what, again, I want to use this channel for, is to basically, during this Pick a Bit discussion, we're talking about conventions now. And how do you prepare for a convention? I know me and my wife, we have to make sure, we're wearing the right foot attire. Like that matters. It matters, especially when you're on your feet, sometimes 10, 12 hours a day. Also, do you go to a convention to work it, or do you go to a convention to just participate? Because we've gone to conventions where we'd actually work for companies. Me and my wife would work for 2 different companies. We'd see each other in the evening and then wake up in the morning and then say deuces and go off and work with our companies. And there have even been some conventions where I would go on by myself and she'd go to one convention, I'd go to another. and we just love doing that. That's something that we really enjoy, and I know it's not everyone's thing to be teaching people games, but I just get a real enjoyment out of that, and especially if I get, a really good company. And none of the companies that I've been a part of so far at conventions haven't been bad. They've all been great experiences, and I've got to meet a lot of people, and also got to learn how to teach games better and better. So it's just, again, conventions are amazing places, great places to meet people, to find out new things about games, and even to get to see people that you see on YouTube. Like, you can find me at conventions sometimes. You can find other content creators, other people in the industry, and when you go and respectfully say, hey, do you mind if take a picture? It's like, oh, yeah. I mean, if you guys find me at a convention, you're like, wait, Nick, can we get a picture? Yeah, let's get a picture together. And then even, if we have time, if I'm not running all over the place trying to talk with people and get interviews for the channel for everyone that can't go to the conventions, well, we got to play a game. Shoot, you see me sitting down somewhere and I've got the time, please come, show me what games you picked up, what we can just talk. I mean, I really love connecting with people at conventions. So, again, I'd love to hear what you have to say about conventions. If you go to them, if you don't go to them, if conventions have, or just not something you are interested in the industry and the hobby. Maybe just playing the games are the part of the hobby that you love. You don't really care about, the convention side of things, which is kind of sad because I feel like sometimes you miss out if you don't go to at least, the small conventions. You don't have to go to Origins or Gen Con or some of the bigger ones, but you can definitely make it to some of the smaller ones. And when it's just 4 days of gaming, 4, 3, 2, sometimes it's awesome. And when you get to go to swap meets and stuff like that, or sometimes you find a Grail game. Grail game for me is like a very old game, or something that I can't get a hold of because maybe I live by a game store. Not everyone has that luxury, so sometimes that's another reason why some people go to conventions, because they have to go and that's where they get their games, because they want to support the companies if they don't want to do it in person. And maybe they get to, and also demonstrations are a great way to see if, hey, maybe I like this game, maybe I can't. Rodney taught me this game on Watch It Played, but maybe I just want to see how it feels in front of me. Or, because sometimes you'll see the picture of a box and it will be like, oh, that looks like a normal sized box. And sometimes you get you get it from Amazon or wherever you get your online games from, and they're like small or super huge. I mean, there have been a couple surprises with me and Sarah's experience with buying games. But we really enjoy conventions because, again, like I've said before, the people are awesome. Finding new games is always awesome. Sometimes you will not hear about a game unless from the company, unless they're their conventions. Again, I always find, people doing, new companies that I don't even know of, which is, it's always fun to talk with them and see what's going on. Also, playtesting. Playtesting is, I know at a couple like Metatopia and Gen Con, there is a company that runs playtesting. Well, Metatopia, that's all it is designers come and they want to show off their games to publishers and players and get playtesting and advice to, build up their game and then break it down and build it up again and break it down again. And at Gen Con, there's a company called Double Exposure that there might be some other companies there or businesses that do the playtesting, but you go through and you get a little placard and you go through and you get to play test some of these games that, maybe in a year or two or a couple months, all of a sudden you hear it's signed on with a company. That's always awesome to kind of, interact with and be like, wow, hey, I play tested that game. I remember that. It's really cool. And oh man, this changed, that changed. Oh, look at that artwork. But also it's just, again, a fun time to see how the designer's brain works. Like, man, all right, sit me down, let's play our game. Wow, this is really cool. Have you thought of this? Have you thought of that? Oh, you're thinking of doing that? Cool. So there's another reason, yeah, there's the games and the people, and you can get that where you live. But sometimes, there's just these events that are just you can't get away from. And like there'll be tournaments for games that maybe can't fire at wherever you live or your local game stores, but at conventions you can always, especially Gen Con, they have a bunch of events, and sometimes you get to just come together. And I remember there was this wrestling game. I didn't even know what it was, but we were at another part of a hall in Gen Con that was just go there, play games. They were doing a tournament. All of a sudden, when it was done, people were being loud, having a good time, and then all of a sudden there was like a wrestler's belt in the air. I was like, what is that game? And so that led me to kind of go and think, I'm like, man, that's really cool. I didn't end up going and seeing what it was all about, but it was just cool just to see that kind of fan sponsored or even small publisher sponsored event, because that's just really cool that you can walk away with that kind of custom trophy. I mean, a belt, yeah. If I won a belt for playing a board game, I might tote that around. Can't wear it at work, but hey, maybe. But yeah, there's just a bunch of things at conventions that it's just really cool. So again, leave your comments in the comments below, and just say, hey, what's your favorite convention? What's a convention you always wanted to go to? Maybe why you don't go to conventions, or why you do go to conventions. Maybe I missed something. So again, this is a Pick a Bit discussion, and I hope you've enjoyed this time. And until next time, talk to you guys later. Stay awesome. Bye.